Good afternoon. This is Matthew Lindsay with Precision Home Group here in Anchorage. We have a guest on today. We have Erik Boltman with Real Property Management here in Anchorage. He owns Real Property Management, also RPM here in Anchorage. So talking property management this week, thought we'd bring him in, talk to him, and just interview him, get some more information from the perspective of a property management company. So thanks for coming on today,
Absolutely.
Erik. Really appreciate it. Erik is one of the leading authorities for property management here in Anchorage. Him and his wife, Cassandra, like I said, own Real Property Management. They also own an education company, and that's Landlords Almanac. We'll have a chance to talk about that here in a little bit as well. That is a place where people can go monthly to network, get free education, and learn about the trade, about becoming a landlord. Cassandra has even written her own book here. It's called Pain or Profit. It's all about the experiences that she and Erik have had throughout their years of owning properties and also owning a property management company. So without that, let's just jump into it.
Sure.
So first off, what I want to talk to you about is what is your experience with property management? We talked about the books, the experience owning, but what about your personal experience?
So, unlike a lot of property managers that started out maybe as salespeople and it wasn't a good fit, we actually were investors first. We at one point we owned up to 11 we had 11 units total.
Wow.
And it was when we realized that at some point, if we kept on this path, we were going to need somebody to start managing the properties for us, and looked around at our options in town and just weren't super happy with what was available. We felt like there was a better way to do it, so we actually started our own company, and it's through a national franchise, which is of course Real Property Management. And one of the things that we liked about that is that it came with, of course, the brand and a lot of credibility. Unfortunately, in this industry, there's a lot of fraud in property management, and when you have a franchise body watching over, that's not going to happen, right? Because they're going to protect the brand. They'd never let us pull any funny business.
They kick you out before they.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's one of the things that we really liked about RPM, and plus. What's great is because we can network with folks from all over the United States. We're getting ideas from folks in California and Boston and some of these more harder to manage areas.
Okay.
We can get a lot of feedback about where the wind's shifting as far as the industry and be ahead of that. So rather than just waiting for case law here in Alaska.
Okay, so you're able to pull experiences from nationwide, from other franchise owners?
Absolutely, and it's just the speed at which we're able to solve problems, and sometimes it's solving problems we don't have yet, but we know that they're coming over the horizon because, Seattle's dealing with this issue, when it comes our way, how do we get ready for it?
So you guys are creating solutions even before there's a problem arise?
Yeah, it's fun. It's so you can say, this is where legislation is moving in Seattle. How do we get in front of that? Or this was a case that an RPM had to deal with in the lower 48. How can we make sure that we've essentially have that case beat before it ever happens to us?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so when did you start RPM here in Anchorage?
June of 2012. So we're coming up on our 6-year anniversary now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys have been doing this for 6 years. You started as an investor, not as a sales, and we'll talk about that later on. Why that's important and how that separates you guys apart from other property management companies. But for people coming in who want to invest in real estate, want to become that investor, want to get some type of rental property, what kind of advice would you give someone who's looking to do so?
Yeah, for sure. So if you're looking to purchase your first property, here what I typically see, this is how it works out with a lot of young investors, is they start out using a VA or an FHA loan. And if you're familiar with those loan programs, they have to, of course, be owner occupied for the first year, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of an advantage because what we see them do is they purchase a property that they want to live in, right? They're not going to buy in a neighborhood or in a part of town that they're unwilling to live in for that first property. So they generally they don't know it yet, but they're making pretty good buying decisions. They're buying in nicer neighborhoods. They're going to, because of where they're buying, they're going to get tenants that are easier to manage.
They have more pride in it.
Exactly, yeah. They're living on site, which then solves a lot of problems. And what
Mhm.
you'll find is that it's fairly easy. New investors who are living on site in, say, their own fourplex are going to get sort of a rosy view of the tenant pool, because what you'll find is that when you say, oh, well, it's owner occupied, I live in unit 1, a lot of the bad tenants are going to naturally weed themselves out.
Okay.
And so it'll feel easier than it really is for the
Gotcha.
first while. Anyway, where the mistakes start to happen is when they start purchasing properties based on just cash flow numbers, right? So they
Just looking at the numbers.
just
on
looking at the
computer.
numbers. Yeah. Just they've got so they say they bought their first property on a VA, then they buy their next one on an FHA. They're starting to feel like, hey, I'm Robert Kiyosaki. I really know what I'm doing. And then next thing you know, they're buying straight off numbers. That's
Yeah.
when we see it start to go downhill.
Mhm.
Is they'll purchase a property that what you'll find is that some of the most really challenging properties, I'm talking like health and safety,
Yeah.
like serious safety issue properties, they almost always cash flow like phenomenally on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the real world, not so much, because there's no line item for, and it, as gross as it sounds, this actually happened is, when you show up to the property and there's a grocery cart full of used diapers,
Yeah.
in trash. I mean, there's no line item for that. There's no line item for a bed bug ridden mattress in the front yard.
And so, numbers are highly important and looking at
Yeah.
those. But if you just take that without walking the property, knowing the area, knowing the location, you can never change a location,
Bingo.
right?
Yep.
So if you can't change the location and you're just looking at numbers, you're gonna miss the mark.
You are. Yep.
So
Yep.
you got to make sure that you're looking at both of those, and
It's
also
numbers and it's people.
numbers and people.
Yeah, because you got to think of like, there are other human beings that are going to do unpredictable, weird human being stuff
Mm-hmm.
in that property.
Yeah.
Right? And so you have to kind of use a little bit of horse sense as far as, is this property I'm buying going to attract the kind of people that I want to be renting to?
Exactly.
And make sure that, you remember, you're not looking for new best friends, you're looking for tenants.
Yeah.
But as far as like, is this property something I can work with? Now, it's not to say that the low income properties can't be done. They're just a little bit more master's level,
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
So if this is your first time you're looking to, get in your first, maybe your second rental property, and you haven't invested before, you're not 100% sure of everything going on, what to do. What we're talking about here is really that team perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Is really, hey, don't just talk to the realtor. The realtor is going to give you a lot of great advice on how to sell, on how to purchase it, where to look, some great deals and stuff. But if you're teaming up with that realtor, with a property management
Mm-hmm.
company, you're really going to hit both sides of it and really going to make sure that the
Yeah.
purchase is protected for the long run and not just a quick, hey, let's get into this building.
Yeah. And what we can do is if say you and I are working a deal together, is I can bring in some of those hard to find phantom costs.
Exactly.
We can say, hey, this is something that, this is a common, like, certain neighborhoods have a higher cost of trash cleanup.
Yeah.
Just hey, this is something you need to budget for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get a more accurate perspective. What are the real numbers? It does come down to numbers, but we can kind of put those human factors into numbers for you.
And in reality, those are numbers. Like, you could put numbers to those, they're just not on the paper or on the pro forma or
Or a
anything
little,
like that.
little
that
less
someone's
predictable.
giving
Yeah.
So, which leads us into our third question today is, where can people go to educate themselves?
So you should check out, currently we have a Facebook group that has a little over 400 members called the Landlords Almanac. You're going to look for the group, and there's an Alaska area group. We're slowly building out separate chapters in other areas. We've got one in Washington. We've got one in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
And right now we're building out, we're hoping to have a forum live somewhere around.
Awesome.
Yeah, so if you're not a Facebook person, don't worry. I'm helping you out. We're building out a forum. We're hoping to have it live sometime in August. And a great place to just start watching what people are talking about. See what sort of pain points folks are dealing with as landlords. Don't let it scare you. Remember that nobody's jumping on the Facebook forum to say, hey, everything's awesome and nothing bad happened this month.
Yeah.
So they're only jumping on when there's problems, but at least give you a perspective of what folks are dealing with as a do-it-yourself landlord.
Yeah, so it's a Facebook group where people can share ideas, really network with each other, really help solve problems, really, pitch ideas, things that have helped them. But there's also a monthly in-person meet here in Anchorage once a month, correct?
We take summers off just because everybody's out fishing and having fun. It's Alaska. But yeah, we starts in August. August will be the first class, and then we typically go August to April. We'll do one class every month. Currently working on trying to bring the classes out to you folks in the Valley. I know I don't want you to feel neglected. We're trying to work on getting some classes going out there as well. It's typically an hour and a half, and we'll pick a topic that we know is hot, and we'll do a full hour and a half presentation on that. We'll bring in guest speakers. We're going to be doing one on Airbnbs, furnished rentals, and assisted living, which is a very hot topic.
Yeah,
so
definitely up here.
Bringing in some guest speakers for that.
And it's all, so they're giving you and providing great information that you're not going to really find anywhere else. It's free. You also have the chance to network with industry people. And when I say industry people, I'm not just talking sales. We're talking contractors, right? Yep. We're talking inspectors. There's people there doing bed bug stuff. There's people there doing everything, maintenance to sales to management, you name it. You can meet somebody there.
And I promise it's not just one big sales pitch. We really, really watch that we always, this is how Cassandra and I learned, was we went to clubs like this, and so we felt like, we needed to build a club, the kind of club we would want to go to, and we really try to make sure that it doesn't feel like an hour and a half long sales pitch. Yes, we're property managers. I'd love it if you came and used us, but that's not why we're doing this. And so, yeah, don't feel like we're just going to be pitching ourselves at you the whole time.
Right on. So, what questions should someone ask if they're looking to go interview different property management companies? They're looking at different companies. What should they be asking them to know if they got a good one? So
first thing I'd have you check, just we'll start from more serious to less serious. First thing I'd have you start looking at is pull up their record on CourtView here in Alaska.
Okay.
And every property manager gets sued. I will say that right now. Every property manager gets sued. It's just it's part of the industry. It's very litigious right now. What you're looking at is, did they lose? What did they get sued for? You're seeing a whole bunch of fraud suits. If you're seeing a whole bunch of they settled the claim and then it kind of goes dark after that, that's kind of a red flag of, this is probably somebody who's not operating above board. As we kind of go down to less serious stuff, look for somebody who's dedicated to property management. If you've got a real estate agent that I can go deal with your tenant's problems, or I can go close this sale and make a very big check, human nature is going to take them to go close the sale. So that's one of the reasons we don't do sales, is we feel like we just stay in one straight industry and just do that.
Gotcha.
But really check them out, and really what I want you to look for is honesty.
Yeah.
When you ask them, what do you think my place will rent for, that should not be an interview question. That should be a, what's the rental market doing question. Don't base your opinion of the property manager based on what they're telling you as far as rent price. Because if you're going to go with the guy who's just willing to tell you the highest number for your rental property, you're probably not hiring someone who's being honest with you. You want someone who's going to be straight up and say, it'll rent for this, and it'll probably be in this so many days. If you keep it too high, it won't rent for another, say, 45.
Yeah.
So look for honesty.
Okay. The same thing in real estate, when I'm going to a listing appointment and someone, they said they went with someone else because they said, hey, they told me, they claimed to get me another 10, 20, 30, maybe $50,000.
Yeah. Maybe that other sales agent had a magic wand that would make it sell for more. Yeah.
But, you can only rent or sell for what the market says, right?
Exactly. We don't set the market price. He doesn't set the market price.
Nope.
The market sets the market price.
Yeah. So great points, and I love that. We're going to ask you what does RPM do differently. You touched on that. RPM is different from all these other property management local companies, is because RPM doesn't sell.
Yeah.
Product.
For the most part, most property management companies are sort of a side gig, where we can't get this property sold, so we're just going to kind of stuff it over here in property management for a while. And they'll sort of take the the folks that aren't as good in the sales department, they'll move them over to property management. That's not how we operate. We are property managers, period. We don't even manage condo associations. We do residential rental property management, period, dot.
That's it.
That's it, and we are really damn good at it. I don't mind saying that. So
hey, I agree with you.
Yep.
So before we let you get going, Eric, was there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
Not really. Just to, check out the Landlords Almanac on Facebook. Look for the Alaska group, and just make sure to say that you own a property or you're looking to buy one soon. We're always trying to keep the topic on site, keep spammers out. So
yeah, definitely.
We try to really screen who all's coming in, and absolutely show up. Go on to meetup.com and sign up to get alerts for the Landlords Almanac Alaska group. And you'll get alerts for when our classes are coming up. Again, free, no sales pitch. Come network and learn. And I always have fun teaching them. So.
Right on. And so for Pain and Profit, which is Cass's book, about all the different experiences she's had, it's got great content, ton of value in there.
Yep.
Where can they go find that?
I believe you can find that for sale on Amazon.com.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's going to be Pain